United States Army and especially enjoys various areas of advertising. She also is involved with the senior citizens in the area and sometimes harasses gas station attendants.
No.
At Maybin.
Now, Pat, now listen. You don't harass gas station attendants, do you?
No, not intentionally.
Listen, you have an interesting story that was told a little bit earlier. That 7 years ago?
22, well,
in 19 what?
1955.
In 1955, in this studio right here, you were given before the cameras of TV2. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I received a direct commission into the Army, and Channel 2 wanted me to be sworn in live on TV, and Mother pinned on one second lieutenant bar, and the recruiter pinned on the other one.
And that was done right here?
Right here.
And what year would that have been?
1955.
How about that? Well, I'll tell you what, it's great having you here on our Memorial Day show. And we're going to start our game, folks, with the toss of the coin. But before we do that, we have to take care of a little... It's the music! All right, Memorial Day! It's the Stars and Stripes forever. Folks, we will be back right after this. So you can see right there, folks, here is the coin that I stole out of Nick Champion's pocket before the show, and as you can see, it has heads and tails on it. I'm going to go ahead and flip the coin. Pat, why don't you call heads or tails?
Heads.
Okay, as you can see, it is tails. You have the option of taking the first question, or what would you like to do?
I'd like to take the first question.
Okay, you're okay right here, aren't you, Pat?
Thank you.
Hey, folks, Memorial Day weekend. We got a couple of great contestants. It's time for round one on WePlay Baton Rouge. Let's go and get them. Okay, girls, you're familiar with our rules. Let's go ahead and scramble the categories very rapidly. Look, folks, you know, I get a mistake here once in a while, too. And then, now we find buildings, music, and people. And let's see what I can do this time.
I'll try people.
Okay, under people, here is the question. Louise Joy Brown holds the distinction of being conceived outside her mother's body. She was delivered in July of 1978 by Doctors Steptoe and Edwards in London. This was the world's first what?
Test tube baby.
You're exactly right, Bobbie. You have your first seat at Jefferson. See, hey, folks, it's just like in that football game. Boy, after that first hit, you're all right. Now it's back to the game board for you, Pat. You're heading for Perkins. Let's mix the categories for it. When it stops, you'll be able to pick. We find Louisiana is L.A., people, and sports, and what looks good to you there?
I'll try sports.
Okay, let's take sports. Here is the question for you under sports. Henry Chadwick, Pat, was the writer of a particular rule book in 1858. And in June of 1846, laid out the first diamond. What sport was Henry involved in by doing these two things?
Baseball.
Baseball's right. You have Perkins. Okay, it's back to Bobbie. On Jefferson, looking for college. Let's randomly run the categories again and mix them up. And we find this time it will appear to be sports, television, and history.
I'll try TV.
All right, under TV, here's the question. Jesse White plays the repairman who awaits the repair call that never comes. Jesse is a repairman for what company or product in this television commercial?
Maytag.
Maytag's right. You have college. There's many a time I've been trying to get in touch with Jesse to fix the pipes at home, but no way. It's back on you. Over to you, Pat. You're on Perkins looking for Lee. Let's run those categories around again and see what pops up this time. Here we find Louisiana, people, and sports. Now, what looks good there, Pat?
I'll try sports again.
Sports it is. You did good first. You know what? It must be one of those days. Not only am I messing the questions up, I can't talk. But we're getting it together. Here is the question under sports. Now, Pat, this famous automobile race is held over the Memorial Day weekend in Indiana. For Lee Drive, can you name the race?
Indiana 500.
That's exactly right. You have Lee. Indianapolis 500 is correct. It's back over to you, Bobbie. You're heading for Acadian. We're heading to the game board. But before we do, guess what we have to do? Take a little commercial break. More of WePlay Baton Rouge, but first, these messages especially for you. WePlay Baton Rouge. Now we're heading now into round 2. Pat Maybin's on Lee, and she's looking for Stanford. Over here, Bobbie Pugh heading for Acadian. When we left, we were ready to scramble the categories for Bobbie. So let's do that, Bobbie. Let's run those categories around for you. Let them stop, and we will ask you this particular question under the university category, history category, or music. What would you like?
None of the above, but I'll
Okay,
try
now
music.
we have a question for none of the above. Would you rather be beaten up in a parking lot or no? No, I'm just kidding. You
I'll
can
take
pick any of
music.
the. You'd like music? Okay, under music, here is your question. The music question is this. Gene Chandler, Bobbie, sang this song in 1962. In the song, the word Duke is sung 132 times. Can you name the song for Acadian?
I have no idea, Pat.
Okay, now Pat, according to our rules, you can take this question or you can go back to the game board and pick another category.
I'll go back to the game board.
Okay, the answer is Gene Chandler sang the song, and the word Duke was used 132 times. The song is Duke, 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 Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl. I got 100 more to go! Oh, I like the other part. Oh, yes, okay, I'm sorry, Pat. It's back to the game board for you. See, I took those Frank Sinatra lessons, you know, from, okay, it's back to the game board. You can pick the category you'd like there, Pat, as it will stop, this time, on products, comics, and words. Now, what looks good to you there?
I'll try comics.
Okay, let's see what we have this time under the comics. Seems to be a very popular category. This penguin, Pat, appeared in this Walter Lantz comic strip and made his debut on I'm Chilly Willy the Penguin. Now, was it Penny the Penguin, Chilly Willy, Wheelie the Seal, or Wally the Walrus?
Penny the Wind, Winnie the Pin.
I'll tell you what, hold on. Let me ask you one more. This penguin appeared in this Walter Lantz comic strip and made his debut on I'm Chilly Willy the Penguin. Now, was it, under comics, Penny the Penguin, Chilly Willy, Wheelie the Seal, or Wally the Walrus?
I think it's Penny the Penguin.
I'm sorry, incorrect. Now, you can take this question, Bobbie, or go back to the game board for another category.
I'll take a guess at Wally the Walrus.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect, too. It's none other than Chilly Willy. See, those kids knew that, but the grown-ups don't, and that's what happens when we play Baton Rouge. Now, it's back to you again. It's your turn, Pat. Let's run the categories around again. When they stop, you can pick. Boy, that last question there kind of wore me out. Universities, history, and music is the categories. What looks good there?
I'll try music.
Okay, here we have again under the music category this question. This was the theme song of President Theodore Roosevelt. It goes like this, and we want you to name the song. Bum 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 ba bum 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 bum. Can you name this song?
I can hear some of the words, but I'm sorry, I don't know the name.
Okay, it's back over to you, Bobbie. You can take the question.
I'd like to go to the game
But you
board.
go to the game board. It was, did I sing it that bad? It was hot time in the old town tonight. Bum 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 bum. That was pretty bad, huh, folks? Okay, okay, it's back to the game board for you. Let's scramble the categories again. Here we find, when it stops, it will be products, comics, and words.
I'd like to try words.
Okay, under words, here's your question. Fill in the blank on this one, please, Bobbie. A blank is a man-made triangular mound of earth that controls the Mississippi River as it flows through Louisiana. What word are we looking for?
Pyramid is what comes to my mind.
I'm sorry, incorrect. Now we can go back to you with this particular question, Pat, or you can go back to the game board.
I'll try that particular
Okay.
question.
Fill in the blank, please, on this one, Pat. A blank is a man-made triangular mound of earth that controls the Mississippi River as it flows through Louisiana. What is it?
I wanted to say lock.
No.
But I don't think that's it.
No. A levee. It's a levee, the old levees. Okay, back to the game board for you, Bobbie. You're on college, heading for Acadian. Let's run the categories again and see what happens here. Here we find, this time, sports, television, and history. Now, what looks good?
Television.
Okay, under television, here's your question. He's originally from Miami, Florida. You'll see him weeknights at 6 and 10 on TV2's Eyewitness News. He's been called controversial in his sports delivery. Can you name this TV2 sports personality? Andy
Leopold.
That's right, and you have Acadian. It's back over to you now, Pat. You're on Lee, heading for Stanford. Let's run those categories and mix them again. As you continue to move, we will find, to pop up this time, Louisiana people in sports. Now, what looks good there?
I'll stick with sports.
Okay, under sports, here is your question. This annual award is presented to the player with the lowest average in the PGA. Now, can you name this trophy? Is it the Outland Trophy, the Heisman Trophy, the Varden Trophy, or the Acombro Trophy?
I'll try the last one, the combo trophy.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. When you go back over here to you, Bobbie, you can take the question or it's back to the game board.
I'd like to go to the game board.
Okay, it's the Varden Trophy. It's the Varden Trophy, Pat. Back to the game board. Let's scramble again and mix them up and see what happens to pop up this time. Here we find products, comics, and words. Now, what looks good there?
I'll try words.
Okay, under words, here's your question. The words "My Answer" represent the title of a syndicated daily newspaper column by this famous evangelist. Is it Oral Roberts, Jerry Falwell, Billy Graham, or Pat Robinson?
Oral Roberts.
I'm sorry, incorrect. Back to you, Pat. Take the question, or it's back to the game board.
I'll try the question.
Okay, once again, the words "My Answer" represent the title of a syndicated daily newspaper column by this famous evangelist. Is it Oral Roberts, Jerry Falwell, Billy Graham, or Pat Robinson?
I'll try Pat Robinson.
I'm sorry, incorrect. It's the Reverend Billy Graham. Billy Graham, you're on Lee, heading for Stanford now. You're on Acadian, heading for Park over there, Bobbie. And we're going to be back in just, about a minute and a half. But first, these messages, especially for you.
If you'd like to be a contestant on WePlay Baton Rouge, all it takes is sending your name, address, phone number, and occupation to Pat Shingleton Productions, 619 Jefferson Highway, Baton Rouge, 70806. And now back to the game, and Pat Shingleton.
Thanks very much, Gary King. Heading into the last round on WePlay Baton Rouge on our special Memorial Day show. We have Bobbie Pugh going against Pat Maybin. Bobbie, it is your turn. Let's scramble the categories. You're on Acadian. You're looking for Park. Let's see what happens as we continue. Here we find Louisiana people in sports. What category there, Bobbie?
Louisiana.
Okay, under Louisiana, here's the question. On May 21st, 1928, something special happened to Democrat Huey P. Long. What was it?
He was shot.
I'm sorry, incorrect. Back over to you. You can take this question, or it's back to the game board, Pat.
I'll take the question.
Okay, once again, on May 21st, 1928, something special happened to a Democrat, Huey P. Long. What was it?
He was sworn in as governor of Louisiana.
That's exactly right. He became governor of the state of Louisiana, and you're on Stanford. It's back to you, Bobbie, on Acadian, looking for Park. Let's run them around again and see what happens here. Here we find inventions, buildings, and the mixed bag.
I'd like the mixed bag.
The mixed bag, yes indeed. It has a conglomeration of everything on there. And you know what? Here is the mixed bag. Okay, in the mixed bag, we find movies. And here's the question. Anne Margaret, Ingrid Bergman, Britt Eklund, Greta Garbo. What country were they born in for Park?
Sweden.
Sweden is right. You have Park. It's back to you, Pat. You are on Stanford. You're heading for Dalrymple. Let's move those categories again and see what happens here as we find this time to appear on the game board. Louisiana, people in sports popped up again.
Well, I'll stick with sports.
Stick with sports, yes indeed. And here is your question. Pat, Walter C. Wingfield invented this product or sport in 1873. He originally called the game Sparstake. S-P-H-A-R-I-S-T-I-K-E. Now, did he invent ping pong, bowling, tennis, or jacks?
I'll try tennis.
That's exactly right. You have Dalrymple. Folks, I didn't know. I did not know if that was the correct pronunciation, but it's S-P-H-A-R-I-S-T-I-K-E, and I believe it's pronounced Forestike. Does anybody know? Does that sound right? It was a good guess anyway. Back over here for you, Bobbie, on Park, heading for East. Let's run those categories around again. This time we find sports, television, and history.
I'll try television.
Okay, under television, here is the question. The question is this. This early television Western provided the viewer with offbeat comedy, featured two actors playing brothers that were traveling gamblers and ladies' men, and cowardly Western heroes as well. Can you name this show? Was it Bat Masterson, Maverick, Have Gun Will Travel, or Rawhide?
Maverick.
That's exactly right. You have East. We're back over to you, Pat, on Dalrymple, heading for Texas. We'll move the categories again for you. You're looking for Texas Street. We're just 2 streets away from TV2. We find buildings, music, and people.
I'll try music.
Okay, under music, here we go again. Under the music category, here's the question. Baskin and Robbins created a special flavor of ice cream for this rock group when it arrived in the United States in February of 1964. The last name of the ice cream was Nut. What was the first?
Rocky Road ice cream is the only one I know.
Okay, you can take this question. I'm sorry, incorrect on that one, Pat. You can take this question right here, Bobbie. Move across Holland to the winner, or it's back to the game board.
I would like to go the game board.
Okay, Baskin and Robbins created a special flavor of ice cream for this rock group when it arrived in the United States in February '64. The last name of the ice cream was Nut. The first name was Beetle. Beetle Nut. Beetle Nut ice cream developed for them under the music category. Back to you. Let's run those around again. Here we find this time, folks, popping up on the game board, buildings, music, and people again.
Let's try people.
Under people, here is the question. She is now a solo artist. She was the lead singer of the Supremes and was the first entertainer to be invited to the Imperial Palace in Japan in 1973. Under people, can you name this famous person?
Diana Ross.
That is exactly right. You are our winner today. Boy, I'll tell you what. See, I get $2 from our producer, Nick Champion, every time I blow the bugle. That one question on the Sacra song was a difficult one. The one question that we had on the ice cream with the Beetle was a little bit of a tough one, too. But it's under the music category because of the group coming to the United States. But you played an absolutely great game. Now, let me ask you something. How would you like to maybe go to Hawaii for a vacation with me?
I love it.
Well, we can't do it
If you
this
have
year,
a
but
note
maybe
for
next
Hawaii.
year. You see, I got to check to see what my pay is like, and then maybe I can give it. Oh, yeah, but we have an excellent consolation prize for you, Pat. You were a great contestant. Let's go now to Gary King. Gary, what do we have?
Our consolation prize tonight is from New Generation. This gift will provide hours of picture-perfect fun. It's the Vivitar motorized pocket camera with automatic film advance and built-in electronic flash. All from New Generation, your superstore for the 80s. New Generation here in Baton Rouge and in Lafayette. Total retail value of this gift, $120.90.
Okay, now, Pat, you do a lot of little freelance advertising on the side. You can use the camera. Thank you very much for being a contestant with us on WePlay Baton Rouge. Okay, back over to you now. Bobbie is the winner today. You did it. You moved across on that one there. So let's go now to Gary King. And Gary, what do we have for our winner today?
As our winner tonight, you're taking off with us. We've arranged a special trip for you and your guest. You'll leave New Orleans International on Republic Airlines. Republic, serving more of America than any other airline. You'll visit a great American city where American International Travel selects 2 luxurious nights for you and your guest. American International Travel here in Baton Rouge and handling all of your travel needs wherever you want to be tomorrow. Back in Baton Rouge, your excursion doesn't end. When you return, you'll visit Old Italy as our guest at Gino's restaurant. Gino's provides the taste of Old Italy in its atmosphere and especially its cuisine. Gino's, 4542 Bennington in Baton Rouge.
Bobbie, thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for being with us on our Memorial Day show on WePlay Baton Rouge. Pat Shingleton saying thank you. Enjoy that Memorial Day weekend. Until next time, no matter what game you're playing, you play it the best you can. Bye-bye for now.
WePlay Baton Rouge is a Pat Shingleton production made in association with WBRZ TV2. Eyewitness News is up next, and join us next Saturday when... All of you mothers in TV land, happy Mother's Day from WePlay Baton Rouge. It's 5:30 in the capital city, so let Dad watch the kids. It's time, WePlay Baton Rouge. And here now is the star of WePlay Baton Rouge, Pat Shingleton.
How y'all doing? Thank you very much. M is for the million things she gave me. It's Mother's Day show here. Happy to have you with us, and in that studio audience. Now, you moms, tell Dad to do everything else. We want you to stay right there for our special Mother's Day show. Before we get to the introduction of the contestants, let's explain the rules for you. Here you find our game board, folks, and in our game board you will find a little bunch of categories that randomly spin around there and mix up. Now, when that thing stops, the contestant has the opportunity, folks, of picking, for example, inventions, buildings, or the mix bag. Now, when they pick that category, I, in turn, ask them a question. By correctly answering the question, they'll move across a series of streets. For example, you know where Jefferson Highway is? They could get that street, they could get College, they could get Acadian. But if they happen to hear this sound, that means an incorrect answer. So therefore, that contestant, then the other contestant either takes that particular question or it's back to the game board. So then they move across Park, across East, and then reach the studios of TV2 first. Right here on Highland Road is the winner. And on this side, a new update, folks. That construction on Perkins, as somebody just said in the studio audience, is almost completed. So we head across Perkins, Lee, Stanford, Dalrymple, Texas, and then once again to the studios of TV2. As I said a little bit earlier, M is for the million things she gave me. Okay, it's Mother's Day, and we have two great mothers from the area here. Here is Gary King to tell us about it. Gary, who's our first contestant?
Say hello, Pat, to Diane Siraj. Diane is the mother of two. She enjoys skateboarding, getting a good buy on Pampers, strafing the neighbor's dog with the weed whacker, and trimming her husband's beard when he's asleep. It's Diane Siraj.
Wait a second now, Diane. Is Gary King telling the truth?
No.
He said that you like getting a good buy on Pampers, chasing the dog, the neighbor's dog, with a weed whacker, and trimming your husband's beard when he's asleep. Now, that's not what you do, is it?
No, sir. That's
I
not what
thought it was what you did. You better behave yourself.
I will.
How's everything going?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, kids in the audience today?
Yes, sir.
You have
two boys.
two little boys.
Yes, sir.
Are they ornery?
Sometimes.
Nah,
Not all the
they're
time.
good boys,
They're good
especially
boys.
on Mother's Day.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. We have a good contestant for you to compete against, Gary King, who is our second contestant tonight on Mom's Day.
Here now, Pat, is Annie Schmidt. Annie enjoys building go-karts, arguing with the mailman, and hitting the dog with a WePlay Baton Rouge brick. Annie's the mother of two, Annie Schmidt.
Now, wait a second. Now, Annie, let me ask you something now. We have, the WePlay Baton Rouge brick takes the frustration out of watching TV. Now, you don't really throw the WePlay Baton Rouge brick at the dogs, do you?
No.
I thought you did. But listen now. How's everything? How many kids in the audience with you tonight? 3 kids. Okay, now who's that other kid?
The big kid.
Oh, that's your husband. Okay, Annie, well, listen, it's good to have you with us here on WePlay Baton Rouge. Folks, as you know, we start the game with the toss of the coin. Then we toss the categories, but before we do any of that, we've got to go to a commercial break. Take care of a little business. We'll be right back after this.
Stay tuned for more of our Mother's Day show as we move into round one on WePlay Baton Rouge.
There's the coin. Now, as you can see, folks, we have a coin here. Has both heads and tails on it. We're going to flip that coin. Annie, why don't you go ahead and call it?
Tails.
Okay, as you can see, it is heads. So, Diane, you have the option of doing what you would like to do, take the question or start somewhere else. What would you like to do?
I'd like to take the question, please. The first question.
Okay, you're getting the first question, and you're okay here, Annie, aren't you? Okay, now before we start our game, we just wanted to let you know, folks, that we have, here's Bob Jolly, a couple of nice corsages for our mothers tonight, and what we're going to do is, I get to pin those on later. Okay, now listen, we'll do that a little later, okay? But right now, folks, you know what time it is? It's time for round one on WePlay Baton Rouge. Let's go and get them. All right. Okay, Diane, you have option to take the first question. So let's scramble the categories for you. When they stop, you pick the category. I give you the question, hopefully for your first three. Universities, history, and music.
I'll take music, please.
Okay, under music, here is your question. Your first question for music for Jefferson Highway. This particular president of the United States sang the song Salt Peanuts with Dizzy Gillespie. Can you name the president?
Ronald Reagan.
I'm sorry, incorrect. It can go back over to you, Anna. You can take this question, or it's back to the game board.
I want to go back to the game board.
Okay, back to the game board it is. The first president that sang the song with Salt Peanuts with Dizzy Gillespie was Jimmy Carter, July 18, 1978. More than 30 musicians took part. Dizzy Jimmy Carter, better known as Peanuts Jimmy. Okay, now it's back to you, Annie. Let's scramble the categories for you. Let's mix them around, and then when they stop, you can pick a question. Okay, it's products, it's comics, and it's words.
I'll take the first one.
The products? Okay, under products, here's your question. This cereal, Annie, has the colors raspberry red, lemon yellow, and orange orange. Can you name the cereal?
Fruit Loops.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Now, you can take this particular question, Diane, or it's back to the game board.
I'll go back to the board, please.
Okay, it's Trix. Trix is raspberry red, lemon yellow, and orange orange under the products category. Okay, back to the game board. Let's scramble them around there. Sometimes they pass in those questions even though they know the answers. Inventions, mixed bag, and buildings.
I will take mixed bags, please.
Okay, let's see what we have this time under mixed bag. What popped up? Under mixed bag, this question. In the mixed bag, we find wives. Wives. He married 3 Catherines, 2 Annes, and 1 Jane. He was a king. Which king was he?
King Henry VIII.
That's exactly right. You have Jefferson. Okay, it's back over to you, Annie. Let's run the categories around again. Well, and here we go as we continue with universities, history, and music.
Universities.
Okay, under universities, here's the question. Which university in Louisiana is still known to many as the Old War School? Now, it's one